You're not going to believe this. You're not going to believe this. The Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department confirmed it is assisting Florida authorities in investigating new sexual assault allegations against Diddy, Sean Diddy Combs. That sentence alone is enough for corporate media to light the fuse and start the bonfire. No convictions, no indictment, no formal charges this time, just an investigation. Yet headlines are already treating the word allegation like it's synonymous with guilt. Now, this is how the modern justice cycle works. A rumor becomes a story becomes a narrative, and a narrative becomes a verdict long before a judge or jury enters the room. Sound familiar? Combs is already serving a 4-year sentence on charges related to transportation for prostitution. This is violation of the Mann Act. Now, that fact will now be welded into every headline about him going forward. It's the media's version of branding a scarlet letter. It allows them to imply guilt by association. It lets them tell the public he's already convicted of something bad, so this must be bad too. Prior bad acts. Sound familiar? Very Harvey Weinstein. Now, legally, however, that logic collapses. Each case requires its own evidence, its own scrutiny, and its own presumption of innocence. That principle is supposed to be bedrock in the American system. Yet it's increasingly ignored when a celebrity is involved, especially this guy. Compare him with Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. Now, the current allegations come from music producer Jonathan Hay, previously known only as John Doe in court filings. He claims that Diddy assaulted him sexually in Los Angeles in 2020 during a promotional shoot. Then, again a year later, what he describes as a setup. Now, these accusations may be true or may not be, but they are still claims, not proof. Now, media reports are, of course, already treating them like legal conclusions and that he's guilty, and that's the way it is. And reading the coverage, one could forget that the United States still supposedly, purportedly operates under due process and not trial by headline. Remember, presumed innocent? Remember that line? Yeah, right. It's not just a line, it's the law. Now, authorities in Los Angeles confirmed they received a report from Florida's Largo Police Department and are assisting in the investigation. Now, that is responsible law enforcement procedure. Yet, the media phrase, LA County deputies confirm they are looking into sexual assault allegations, will be treated like a conviction in the court of public opinion. And you know it's true. And it's not guilt, it's not evidence, it's not even a charge. It's simply an investigation. And it should be treated as such. Now, the fact that I've got to say this, I think, speaks volume. Now, the more interesting story may be the timing. These allegations became public only after Hay identified himself on social media as the John Doe who filed the lawsuit back in July 2025. Why now? Why reveal it? Why go public at this exact moment? Those are fair questions. They are questions the media never seem to ask when rushing out a headline built on accusation. Now, instead, we see the industry's favorite pattern. Heavy emotional language, implied guilt, zero skepticism, zero review, maximum moral outrage, and it draws clicks, but it doesn't draw truth. But details. Now, let's be clear. This is not defending wrongdoing. It is defending civil liberties. If these allegations are proved in court with evidence, then justice must be served. If they are not proven, then justice demands exoneration. That is the bargain America claims to believe in. But under today's frenzied media environment, that bargain is slipping away. Now, accusation has become weapon, litigation has become strategy, and memory has become evidence. The rule of law now competes with the rule of narrative, and the narrative moves fast. Now, the media's attitude towards Combs has changed drastically in a short time. He was once celebrated. He was a mogul, a brand, a symbol of entrepreneurial success. And now he's a target of fascination and condemnation. This is not unique to Combs, however. We have seen the same cycle hit dozens of public figures. They're praised for years, and then when the wheel turns and suddenly they become figures of suspicion, America no longer has a justice system for celebrities like them. It has a momentum machine, and once it starts rolling, it rarely slows down. That's what we're talking about. This is why skepticism matters. Why was Hay allegedly invited back a year later after the first claimed assault? Why were no police reports filed earlier? Why did this case surface only after Combs became an easier target in the public eye? These questions don't disprove anything. They simply call for caution. They ask for evidence rather than emotional storytelling, and they ask media outlets to do what journalism is supposed to do: report facts, not shape trial narratives. Now, there's also the issue of opportunism. Jail time makes headlines. Celebrities make headlines. Lawsuits make headlines. These things combined create a perfect storm for attention and for money and influence and leverage. That doesn't mean that Hay is being dishonest, but it does mean that America must be careful to distinguish tragedy from tactical positioning. Lawyers know how to work timing. Publicists know how to shape narratives. Accusations launched during a politically or legally useful moment must always be scrutinized carefully. That applies to everyone, regardless of status, fame, or power. The real conversation should be about the health of the justice system itself. Do we let investigations play out, or do we rush the moral judgment? Do we insist on evidence, or do we trust headlines? Do we protect presumption of innocence, or do we trade it for social media vindication? These are not rhetorical questions. They define the difference between civilization and chaos. If Sean Diddy Combs is guilty of these allegations, then he should face the law, whatever it is. If he is not, then he should be protected by the law. That's how justice is supposed to work. But if the media continue to treat accusation as guilt, that principle will vanish. And the purpose of justice is not to satisfy public anger, but to find truth. And that takes time. That takes discipline. That takes care. Now, the coming months, my friend, will reveal, indeed, whether this case is evidence-based or truth-based or narrative-driven. The media will try to turn it into spectacle. The law must not follow them, because if sensationalism replaces due process, no one is safe. And in America, we are living in now, in fact, the America that we're living in now, I should say, is no longer hypothetical. It's knocking loudly at the door. So listen very, very carefully. I'm always going to tell you right now that I am not pro, con, whatever, Diddy. But I do believe that it is incumbent upon us to understand that the presumption of innocence applies to him always, and be very, very careful, especially when the case of Ghislaine Maxwell and Epstein, you can't get a rise out of anyone. But with Diddy, there's no end to it. This perfervid attention to detail, I think, is a strange thing. My friend, thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing to Lionel Legal. Please make sure you are subscribed if you are not. And by all means, like the video and hit that little bell so you're notified of live streams and new videos. And I thank you so very much, my friends. Thank you so very much. Thank you for watching. And remember, as we always say, comment as you see fit.